Hello, this is the backup video to Wednesday, September 16th, Ancient History Lecture and Lesson. So let us get into position. I love working with technology. It's so fun. It makes everything better. Okay. So, first off, where we were was that we had been talking about the historical background behind 9/11. However, we are going to be doing case studies soon also. So I asked you to take your case study out, and we will start with the 50 fact sheet. I will then either have you sign up later today or tomorrow, if I can. So here we are on the 50 fact sheet. We're all in the same place. Okay. We start out with the topic. The topic is whatever you sign up for. Now let's look in the notes. I think, unless I'm terribly mistaken, that there is a list of topics for Unit 1. If I'm wrong, then we won't be able to sign up today. Aha! The last page. The last page of Unit 1 notes has a list that says Unit 1, Pre-Classical Cultures and Civilizations, Case Study Topics. You will find it in the notes pack, last page. So we're going to do sign-ups. And why don't we do sign-ups before we do the description? Yeah, we'll do sign-ups before we do the description. So look over the list at the end of your notes pack, which is the other pack. At the end of your notes pack, which is the other pack, and that will include the topics that you may choose between. And you've each got to choose unique topics within your class. Okay, so that, we got this, we got that, we got this, we got that, and we got this. Okay. 6. So, you will see item 1 is Paleolithic, item 42 is Olmec, and you may also suggest an ancient topic or civilization to me, in pre-classical cultures or civilization. If it's not on there, you may suggest, and if I can find a way to make it work, I will. I'm going to roll the dice. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh! You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Whoever chooses goes first. Whoever gets rolled gets chosen to go first. And whoever does not, then we go clockwise. It's been a crazy day. Doing a lot of talking. Please roll. Thank you. 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So, Stanley, you're going to go first. You're going to go second. And Julia, that means... You are Julia, right? Yeah. Masks. You're going to go last. So, what I'd like you to do is tell me the number and name of your topic, and then your full name. So, 16. 16 Philistines. I know it. Oh. Okay. Miss.
25.
25 Latin Celts, and please tell me your full name. Madison Burke. I do have work to hand out too. Okay, Miss?
24 Urnfield Celts and Falstaff Celts, Juliana.
Okay. Juliana? Danae. Miss?
Number 4 Bronze Age.
Bronze Age. Okay. What you're probably going to want to do is pick an area or a region, or talk about the general spread of the Bronze Age. Your name?
Summerlee Baldwin.
Miss?
Number 18.
Greek, Minoan, Crete. Number 18, your name? Say it again.
Mira Crawford.
Mira Crawford. Okay, Zoe? Don't worry, it's a completely life-changing decision, and I'm giving you so much time.
I know. The question is, how much do I hate myself?
No, it's how much do you want to follow your curiosity. So pick the thing that you're most curious about, and it'll be interesting.
I'll go with 34.
Okay, 34, China, Han Dynasty. That's a good topic. Zoe, it's their version of the Roman Empire.
Oh,
There it is.
so I hate myself a lot.
Oh, it's going to be good. You have Confucius to talk about. Yes, Confucianism.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Which Egypt is the best one to study?
It depends. The Old Kingdom is where the pyramids are built. Middle Kingdom is where they developed the first welfare programs. The New Kingdom is the New Kingdom. It has the Sphinx. It has the story of Moses and the Exodus. It has King Pharaoh Ramesses the Great. So it depends on what your interests are.
I'll go with the number 12, the New Kingdom.
Okay, and remind me of your name.
Claudia Campbell.
Claudia Campbell. Miss.
35.
And your name?
Ava Duffy.
Ava Duffy. Okay, so you're doing prehistoric Japanese legends, particularly the Kojiki. Next.
Number 9.
And your name is?
Ryland Dixon.
Ryland Dixon. So you're doing Old Kingdom Egypt. Okay, and Julia?
Number
10. You are doing Middle Kingdom Egypt. Okay. Julia Pep. Okay, now that you're all signed up, let's go over what this means. The case study is a big research project. You've got one assigned per quarter. So you put your name, and you might see where it says topic. You might as well write down the topic you just chose, because that's pretty straightforward. Topic is topic. Thesis is different. Thesis is an argument you make about your topic. It's something that you say that's controversial. So a thesis would be an argument that a person would make in relation to your topic. Let's see. For example, Egypt's choice to... I've been doing this all day and my mind's a little... What's one that you... Okay. Oh, Greeks, Minoan, Crete. You'd argue that Minoan's Cretan civilization was peaceful and prosperous because it gave strong roles to women in leadership. Now, that's an argument. It's not necessarily true. It's an argument. A lot of the archaeological evidence indicates that the Minoan Cretes were unusual in pre-industrial civilizations in giving women powerful positions. For example, there were more goddesses than gods, and the goddesses were often more powerful. And also, Minoan fashion involved dresses that started down here below the breast to emphasize female characteristics. So there are people who think that Minoan Crete was a matriarchy. I think that's dicey, but I think it was a society where women as well as men had strong decision-making powers. To argue then that that is why it was a peaceful and prosperous society is a bit of a stretch. Many feminists who, on the one hand, say there's no difference between the genders, and on the other hand, say girls are better than boys, yeah, they'll argue that. Because, women are more mature. Just ask them, they'll tell you. You're arguing a point of view. Now, why would I have you pick out a thesis that you have to argue about? Because it'll make what you write, especially in the essay, more interesting. Reporting facts is dull. It's boring. Arguing a point of view has an energy to it because you're trying to make the thing that you say work. You're trying to prove that your argument is valid and true and worthwhile. So that energy is going to be there in your writing, and it wouldn't be if you were just doing a book report. If you were just saying, Minoan Crete, beautiful wall-less cities, big basements destroyed in one night of flooding. Maybe Atlantis. No, you're going to argue something. So are there any questions between your topic and your thesis? You know what each are. So you'll have to write a thesis at some point. Miss Crawford.
For the ones that do not have dates on them, it's pick like time period.
For the ones that don't have dates on them, you're going to have to basically, but you're going to have to figure out when that happened. And usually the ones without dates are fluid. In some areas they exist, in other areas they don't. Now you were doing one of the Celtic groups, as I recall? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going to be doing the time before the fall of Minoan Crete. There was an explosion of a volcano, the volcano Santorini on the island of Thera, and that doomed Minoan civilization. So you're going to talk about it primarily before the fall. Okay? Other questions? If you want to talk to me about your thesis, you know where I am during study lab. Get a pass. Or come see me before and after school, and if I have time, I will happily talk to you about how to turn your topic into a thesis. Moving on. Now we're looking at sources. Now it says here use MLA format. So use MLA format. MLA. Ooh, MLA. I could care personally less about MLA format versus APA versus any of this stuff. But the school's policy is that academic work should be done in MLA format, so that's what I expect you to use. MLA format teaches you how to write the author, the title, the publisher, the year, and any other publication information, and how to cite it all. So use that form. You may be able to get something close to it by me, but the truth is if your citation is woefully at variance with MLA, I'll notice, and you'll get a lower grade because of it. So please use the MLA format. What is the MLA format? Go to your English teacher and get a style sheet. They'll have it. That's one of the things our English teachers do. They teach MLA format because they think it'll be useful in college, and they're probably right. You've got 5 sources that you need to use. One of them is a primary source. You know what a primary source is? Does anyone want to take a guess? Is that a handout? What a primary? No. Oh no. It's okay. I knew you didn't. Does anyone want to guess what a primary source is? Zoe.
I think the primary source is the main source you use.
That's a logical but false answer. Julia.
The source from like someone who's there.
Yes, it is a document, a source from a person who lived in that historical period. Okay, it's like a relic. I know why you said what you said. It was a good answer. It just wasn't the right one. So you get a document like a memoir, which is somebody's recollections of their life, or a letter that they write during a historical event, or even a shopping list from a particular period in time could teach us things about life back then. So you need one primary source. Look, you have textbooks, and your textbooks are filled with parchment-colored and opposed views pink-colored primary source documents. I also happen to have whole books of primary source documents in this classroom that you can come in and explore during study lab. So, find a primary source document that deals in some way with your topic. It may be something other than a written source. For example, you people who are doing Celts, you may find that Ogham stones or some other Celtic relic that doesn't involve writing is what you choose. In Minoan Crete case, you may pick a map of the basement of Knossos, which was the great palace of the Minoan kings and queens. So your primary source document can be an actual written document, but it can also be a piece of art or archaeological relic. Any questions on the primary source document? It just has to be from the period. Okay, no questions. Moving on. 2 books, 2 websites, or books. What do I mean by books? A, I love books. B, paper mills need workers and foresters need work. So I have no problem with paper books. I love them. But that isn't why I'm asking you to do books. Can any of you guess why I am asking you to have 2 book sources? Yes.
Because you have to do a little bit more work to find it rather than just Googling it.
Oh gosh, that's a great answer. It's not the answer I was looking for, but it's a great answer. Let me tell you about one of the best ways I found to spend solitary time. When I was in middle school and high school and college, I did this. I still do from time to time. If I have an afternoon where I have nothing else to do, I have completely free time. What I did do and what I still occasionally do is go down to the local library. In college, that was great. College library. And I'd wander the stacks. Wandering the stacks means walking around looking at titles, looking at the books, without any clear plan. Now, the only plan I had is I was interested in history, military history, architecture, art, religion, and for fiction, science fiction, and horror. So those were the sections I primarily frequented. And also the maps, the atlases, geography. I would walk around, and any book that caught my interest, I'd pick up, I'd just thumb through. Are there pictures? Are there tables? Are there maps? Are there images? Does it look interesting? If it does, I pick it up. After an hour or two of wandering through the stacks, I have at least 20 books in front of me on the table in the library. Because libraries have these tables. They have carrels, these little desks that you can use. Then I spend another hour to hour and a half thumbing through them. I look at the photographs. I look at any sketches. I look at any maps. I look at the topic and the way the author writes about the topic. And if I find the author's style one that speaks to me, and if I find the topic interesting, I'll leave the library with as many books as they'll let me, usually a dozen. And I'll take them out for a month, and I'll go through them. I may read some totally, I may skim some. This is the opposite of a keyword search on an online search engine. On an online search engine, that term, that keyword, organizes and focuses everything. What this is, wandering the stacks of a library, is an opportunity for God or the random factors of the universe to align in such a way that you might learn about an entirely different branch of knowledge, something that you had no suspicion of before. You might discover that you have an interest in World War I Navy history. That was one of the things I got interested in when I was in high school, because I discovered some books on it, and it was fascinating to me. What may be fascinating to you is totally different. But I will tell you, a lot of my knowledge doesn't come from systematic study. A lot of my knowledge came from wandering libraries and discovering unknown, utterly mysterious new things to learn about in history and architecture, in all this area. And it's something that you might find useful. It's something that you might find not only enjoyable, but something that will give you a chance to discover new things that you had no idea about before. So,
is there anything that's going to make the library thing difficult with this whole corona thing?
oh, look, sooner or later people are either going to wise up about this or the disease is going to run its course. All diseases do. So sooner or later we'll be back to some form of normal. And when that happens, libraries will be available. Until then, I don't know what the rules are for the CDA library. Julia? You think they're open? Good. I think you have to maintain social distance and probably wear a mask. My guess is. So it's just like here. But yeah. So I'm not saying you have to do that for this project. I'm suggesting as a life thing, you might find that this is useful to you. In any event, that isn't why I want you to use books. I'll tell you why. Books, to me, go through an editorial process, especially books that purport to be a nonfiction history. That means that the publisher and the editor are taking responsibility that what's in this book is reasonably defined as objective history. If somebody is just ranting about their political ideas, that's political philosophy. That's different. That's not history. You may use something like that. A book is accountable legally to avoid slandering, to avoid libeling, to avoid obvious falsehoods, because if the book purports to be nonfiction history and it does those things, the publisher could be sued. And if it's true that those nasty things are in the book, and the book purports to be objective history, the publisher could be successfully sued for lots and lots of money. And publishers don't like losing that kind of money for those reasons. It's embarrassing and it's costly. So what the publisher will do is make sure that whatever the writer is doing goes through a process that will either make sure it's listed as fiction, as political philosophy, or as history. And depending upon how it's listed, the publisher is saying, I will stand behind you. I will stand behind what you write. Bob's Wacky Conspiracy website does not have to do that. Bob's Wacky Conspiracy website can say whatever he wants. Now, there used to be no controls. Within the last couple of years, there is a set of controls that are being established, controls that I personally find very disturbing. Because companies like YouTube and Facebook and Google have decided they're going to take sides and protect people from bad information like fake news. Google or YouTube is going to determine whether something is validly true. And truth, as you have or will come to know, is subjective enough so that that's a pretty chilling thing. These giant tech monopolies, out of Silicon Valley and Seattle are acting like communists. And I am not here talking about the kind of ideas they have. I am talking about the way that communists always treat news. Communists have a very consistent way of treating new information. If it is ideologically in conformity with what they argue, they'll highlight it, maybe even out of proportion to its genuine worth. If it's, however, at variance with their ideology, they suppress it, they censor it. Google, Facebook, YouTube, and others are all doing that now. That means they're picking sides in political arguments, and they're arguing that one side is true and the other side is not. To me, that is disturbing. Is that enough to keep Bob's crazy, wacky conspiracy theory website offline? No, because Bob is going to figure out ways around their community guidelines, and Bob is still going to put out there whatever crazy nut job theories he has. So, the two website options are basically sources that don't go through an editorial process. Some of the book sources can be online books. As long as they've gone through an editorial process, that's fine. Do you understand what I'm looking for in terms of sources? At least a minimum of half of your sources of the four sources other than the primary should have gone through that process. By the way, you know what a book is? Your textbook's a book. You know what else a book is? Encyclopedias. A set of encyclopedias is a book source. So what many students do, especially at first, is they use their textbook and they use their encyclopedias, or I have a set of encyclopedias here in this room that you can use during study lab. Or you can go online to Britannica Online or whatever. Not Wikipedia. It's not an encyclopedia. It's an opinion page. Any questions? Okay. When I was a kid, they loved index cards. Oh, index cards. I hate index cards. So instead of having you write your research on index cards, I'm having you do this 50-fact sheet. 20 facts on the front, 30 facts on the back. On the long line, you write down what you learn as you're doing your research. What stands out as interesting and important fact, you'll get a sense of what's important and what's not. The second line, the little line, is the number of the source. Is it from your P, primary source? Is it from source 1, 2, 3, or 4? You should use all of your sources roughly equal. I'm not going to nickel and dime you if it's a few off. But if you have 40 of your 50 items from a single source, that's going to be bad because you're overutilizing one and you're underutilizing the other. Try to have a fair balance between your 4 sources and include some insights from your primary source as well. Any questions? The last line is page number. If you're going from a book, cite your page number. If you're getting it from a website, if there's a sub-web page on the website that will help me navigate it and find the information, if I want to look it up, put that here. So, the fact can be in a phrase form. It doesn't have to be in perfect grammar. It doesn't have to be in a perfect sentence. Just what is the information, where does it come from, and what page does it come from? Zoe.
So I was wondering, these minor details, facts, pieces of data, they don't have to like be right on the. They don't have to.
No, they have to relate to your topic.
Yeah, I know, but if it's like on the opposite view of your thesis,
That's fine.
it's okay.
Yeah, totally. An intellectually honest person will take into account the opposing arguments to anything they believe. So, yeah, you can do that. Okay. Seeing no questions, we're going to move on to the profile. Profile is the biggest piece of work I'm going to give you all year, and there are 4 of them, 1 for each quarter. The profile is a massive research project, and it's like taking an encyclopedia article, reverse engineering it, and having you do the research. For your topic, the first section in the profile is newspaper. In a good newspaper article, the first paragraph is going to say who, what, when, where, why, how. You are going to distill down your topic into who, what, when, where, why, how. You're going to say what's essentially important about it, and you're going to put a title on it like a newspaper article. Like Pyramid Builders in Egypt, for Old Kingdom Egypt. It's you. That's going to involve judgment. What do you think is the most significant, important, basic things about your topic? You put it in this paragraph. Then you've got chronology. 10-item timeline. I used to ask for 20. Each item has 3 sections. You have the first item, you go down the list, then you got down the list, this is the last. So first, down to last, in terms of your timeline. Each timeline item has 3 sections. The upper left is the date. The upper right is the title. The bottom is a phrase saying why it's important. So, if Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC, you'd put 44 BC, and I think it's that, I could be wrong. You would put Caesar assassinated for the title. That's in the upper right. And then on the line below, you would say Caesar, it basically caused civil wars to resume, which Octavian ultimately won. So one significance of Caesar's assassination is that the Roman civil wars that had led to Caesar seizing power resumed. If you do not understand anything I have said thus far about your profile, you should ask now. I see no hands. Moving on. Paragraph B and then paragraph C on the top of the page. How does your event begin? How does it end? Beginning. How does your civilization rise? Why does it rise? Why is it strong? What strengths does it have? Flip it. Paragraph C. What causes your civilization to fall, be eclipsed, or be conquered? You put it in paragraph form. Paragraph C. Any questions there? If you're doing a biography, I do not want to hear how Mr. and Mrs. Caesar met each other as young people and fell in love and decided to get married and have children. That's not the beginning of Caesar's story. It is, but it's not historical. I want Caesar going after power. That's the beginning of Caesar's historical significance. Yes?
So are we still allowed to, like, if we were to be doing that, we would be allowed to just quickly brief that small part? Or,
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, like, quickly skim over, like, maybe, like, a tiny bit of information that we just want to include?
Yeah.
Or should we just get to the main idea?
I think getting to the main idea is what I'm looking for. In all of these cases, I'm asking you to focus and give me information and give me your judgment. A lot of these require judgment. All of the paragraphs, all of them, require your judgment. Why? Are you a lot of experience as historians? No. But history is about making judgments about what's important, what it means, stuff like that. Wisdom from folly. So getting you to make judgments is a basic part of getting you to really grapple with the meaning of history. So I'm asking you to say, why does the civilization rise? Why does it fall? And you're going to give your judgment. Section 3, core beliefs. You list 4 core beliefs. These could be 4 things about the religion. These could be 4 things about politics. Do they believe in human sacrifice? Do they believe in many gods? Do they believe in a God of fire, a God of light, a God of darkness, a single God? 4 things about their beliefs. Now, this format is used again and again throughout most of the rest of this. You list the title of the belief, and then you describe the belief briefly in a phrase here. So, if the belief is animism, animism is the belief that everything that exists has a soul. Trees, rocks, waterfalls, the sky. So, animism, the belief that everything has a soul. You just list the beliefs. Then paragraph B is you take one of those beliefs and you go into a paragraph's worth of detail, talking about them, describing them. That's what you do. Okay? Any questions? Yes?
So, when it's on number 3A, so do they have to be all about religion, all about
Anything that's a motivating belief. For example, if we were in European history, one of the things that the Victorians, the people of Victorian England and the British Empire at its height really believed in was anti-slavery. They ended the global slave trade except for blacks to go to Arabia, which still goes on, unfortunately. But in general terms, the British stopped the global slave trade. So you could put anti-slavery. That's a political idea, but it's still anything important to them, anything powerful, anything that's going to really say that who these people were.
And so these 4, do my 4 reasons have to be all different religions?
No, they could be all related to the same religion. If you were doing Christianity, for example, you could talk about the belief in the resurrection. You could talk about the notion of turn the other cheek. You could talk about the idea of love your neighbor as yourself. And you could talk about Jesus being angry at the money changers. Just 4 things. And one of them you focus on in the paragraph. Okay? Remind me of your name?
Juliana.
Juliana Janae. Yes? Okay, good. Next, item 4. Notable people, events to do with your topic. If we were doing the assassination of Caesar, we could say that Cassius, Brutus, Mark Antony, and Octavian are 4 people. Cassius and Brutus were assassins. Mark Antony and Octavian were Caesar's heirs. And they fought one another until Octavian won. But you could have all 4 of them because they're all 4 important in that event. Flip it, or no, to the next page. Paragraph B. What's the turning point in this topic? What's the most important fulcrum event? A turning point is when history changes, like a seesaw flipping from being down on the right side to being down on the left side. What is the turning point event in your topic? Is it a battle? Is it a birth? Is it a marriage, an alliance, a piece of art, a scientific discovery, a disease? What is the turning point? Put a paragraph about it. C. Notable people. You take 2 of the people from the list of 4 and you do paragraph-length essays about it. That's all. Paragraph-length biographies. Any questions there? Section 5. I know this is fun, but we need to go over it. Foreign affairs, alliances, rivalries, and wars. On the left, you list 4 outside factors. These are usually other cultures or civilizations that your culture or civilization is going to encounter in peace or in war. You list them and you describe them. They could also be internal divisions like revolutionaries or religious dissidents. Once you do that, you flip it. Paragraph B, describe the significance of how some outside factor affected your topic. So, for example, if you're doing Old Kingdom Egypt, the invasion of the Hyksos, I believe, is what ended the Old Kingdom and brought about Dark Age that led to the New Kingdom. If you're doing Minoan Crete, big giant tidal wave from volcano ends Minoan Crete by flattening cities on the northern shore of the island of Crete. Section 6, military science, science and discovery. List 4 things to do with warfare, just scientific discovery, or inventions, or discovering new lands. And again, you list the titles and then describe them on the right of the line, and then 2 paragraphs. 1 paragraph. Regardless of your topic, how's warfare waged? How do they fight wars? See what inventions or discoveries are related or associated with them. For example, the Sumerians discovered the wheel. How primitive do you have to be that the wheel is an invention? But Sumers are world's first civilization, and they discovered the wheel. Somebody had to. They did. Section, flip it. You're now in daily life. Oh, you don't have to flip it. You just have to Yeah, well, you got it. We're on section 7, that's VII, daily life. Lists 4 things about how people date, what their hygiene's like, what they wear, are their shoes comfortable, what they eat, how they live, everyday life. List 4 things, describe them, and then do a paragraph about one of those things that interests you. This is the second to last page. Then you've got a place for a map and a description. Flip it, and you've got a second place for a second map and another description. These maps, you can also include genealogical tables and things like that, but usually you should have at least one map, maybe 2. Maybe of the society at the beginning or the society at the height of its power, maybe a ruin or a capital city or something like that. You copy the maps not by hand, but by photocopying them or printing them or whatever. So what do aside from choosing the map? Well, under each, you see where it says description and there's a single line? I want you to tell me what the map tells. What story does the map tell? What information does the map convey? This is where you showed me that you understand what the map is saying by describing what the map is saying. One sentence. Easy once you figure it out. For example, this map over here talks about the physical geography of Europe. Mountains, grasslands, pine forests, swamps. Okay? Nothing fancy, just what's the map about? Questions? Yeah.
So I'm still confused. How do we get the map onto the?
You don't. This is here in case you want to draw, but you don't have to draw. I don't encourage you to unless you love it. You take the maps, you staple them to the back of the profile when you hand them in. And you just write the descriptions here.
Wait, so we need to take all this stuff out and then re-staple it to have it separate so we aren't turning in the entire thing.
Right. And or you can print a new set.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Could we, like, mess with the size of the map and insert it?
If you feel like it, sure. As long as the map is legible. If you make everything too small for me to understand. But yeah, no, that's fine too. I just have this here as a symbolic, this is where a map should be. But really, what I expect you to do is to take 30 seconds after choosing your map, print it off, staple it to the back, and then spend your time talking about what's interesting about it.
Alright.
Yes?
Is it okay for us to write in cursive on here, or do you want us to write?
Use whatever your handwriting is. Just make sure I can read it. I can read cursive and or print. Just make it neat enough for me to read. Finally, the last thing. Oh, there's a paragraph on geography. Geography is the bones of history. If we had everything about us the way it is, except our bone structure was different, we'd look completely different. Geography is how where affects events. For example, here we have a map of Europe that shows the Pyrenees Mountains and the North European plain that goes all the way to the Urals Mountains in central Russia. This is an explanation as to why there's so much war in the history of Europe. Because in history, good fences make good neighbors. Nobody wonders, what's the border between Spain and France? Because it's the Pyrenees. Nobody really wonders, what's the border between Italy and France? Because of the Alps. But there is no geographical boundary between France and the Low Countries, between the Low Countries and Germany, between Germany and Poland, Poland and Lithuania, Lithuania and Belarus, and the Belarusians and Russia. The only thing that divides those countries is where the last war leaves the borders. That's why there's so much war in European history. It's a geographical reason, but it has to do with the fact that if you don't win those wars, like Poland, you could find your country completely gone, which happened on several occasions in history. Poland is just there and gone again, a Polish tale. So, that's geography. You can find something geographical to say about your topic. The last thing is finding a visual. Now, the visual can be your relic, your primary source from the 50 fact sheet. It could be a picture. Like if you were doing the Black Death, the plague doctors all wore this bird mask to protect, to identify them as plague doctors, and maybe they thought to protect them as well from the disease. So you'd have a picture of a plague doctor. Or if you were doing something like World War I, there'd be a picture of the Kaiser, the leader of Germany, gobbling up the world. And whatever your visual is. It can be a statue, it can be a painting, it can be something that you photocopy, and like the maps, you photocopy it and staple it to the back. Then you describe it, and then you do what you've done or what you'll do already for your chapter surveys. You'll do context, content, critique. Context, content, critique. So context for the Kaiser eating the world poster. It's World War I. Britain's fighting Germany. British propagandists see the Kaiser as a good target because he has the spiky mustache and he acts super macho. So what the British do is they make a poster of the Kaiser trying to devour the world. Because they want to win the war and scare people with the Kaiser. The content, Kaiser eating the world. He's a dangerous madman. Madison? Critique. Golubieski's not here, is she? Critique. Do you think it's effective as propaganda? Do you think it's effective at persuading people? Do you think drawing of the Kaiser gobbling the world will actually motivate people to fight harder in the war against him? That's it. That's the end of the profile. Oh, God. Now let's talk about when it comes due. It's all in your syllabus, but I want you to understand now. So we right now are in week 3 when the creation myth briefing information had to be in. Week 4, this coming Monday, you got chapter survey 1 due. So you got your first chapter survey. I hope you're ready for that. Then week 5, you got chapter survey 2. So 1 week after chapter survey 1, you got a second chapter survey. But that's not all! Because Wednesday of week 5 Monday, when chapter survey 2 is due, is Monday, September 28th, or Tuesday, September 29th, for you at home. Then Wednesday, September 30th, or Thursday, October 1st, and I may have made a typo on Thursday and called it September 30th, but it's Thursday, October 1st, you've got Case Study 1, 50 fact sheet. So the 50 fact sheet is due next, the Wednesday after the Monday when chapter survey 2 is due. The following Monday after that, which is Monday, October 5th, Monday, October 5th, the profile comes due. Then a week later, the essay comes due, and we'll talk about the essay tomorrow. So this is all in your syllabus. These are the upcoming due dates. This coming Monday, chapter survey 1. The following Monday, chapter survey 2. The following Wednesday, case study profile 50 fact sheet. Case study 50 fact sheet. Following Monday after that, profile. After that, essay. So those are the due dates. I am expecting you to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. I am expecting you to carry your other burdens, research this, and get your chapter survey work done all at the same time. It is an organizational challenge, but this is why I wanted you to get your creation myth work out of the way, so that you didn't have that cluttering your sky. So you now have your case study topics. We've gone over the case study. If you have questions, you know where I am. Do any of you have questions now? I don't see any. Yes?
Are we going to go over the due dates multiple times?
No, because you have a syllabus with everything written down.
Right.
And so basically use that. You also on Google Classroom have reminders, because those due dates, unlike the creation myths thing, are accurate. Okay? That's it then. Tomorrow we'll continue with our background, but I wanted to make sure that you got started on the case study work sooner. Zoe.
So the Baker Volume 1, Chapter 1 thing is the...
That's due Monday.
That's also the stuff that's in our book.
Yeah. That's the workbook
The
stuff.
first chapter of the book, pages 1 through 13 of said book.
If that's the page numbers, let me take a look.
Well, it's Baker Vol. 1, Chapter 1, 1 through 13.
Not Baker. Well, the Baker stuff is the work. That's the workbook, right?
Uh-huh.
The textbook is called Spielvogel.
So it's
So you're reading the Spielvogel chapter, and you're answering the questions in the Baker workbook, which you have online. The Baker workbook, which I've given you a link to online. Okay? That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. We're juggling all sorts of things. We're juggling raw eggs, chainsaws, live chickens, and all at the same time. I love 2020. Yes,
So for the chapter survey, where do we find the third document?
you pick one. You just pick any from the chapter. Any of them that have the parchment color background. Okay, you can talk quietly among yourselves until dismissal. Thank you for your attention, and we are not having lunch here today. They may or may not ask you to go inside, but you'll be going somewhere.
Yay, I can't wait for the day.
I know it seems like a lot. I know it seems like a lot. I know it seems like a lot. I'm here to help you do it. I want you to succeed. Good luck.
Can't wait for the school to shut down the day the profile is due.
That's the spirit, Zoe. As long as you're hoping for, disasters and school shutdowns, everything will be fine.
I've lost all hope at this point.